Well, we looked at the weather and we've got a pretty good window to cross the Sea of Cortez in mild winds, very little chop. So we're going to take advantage of that window and we're going to leave Los Frailes a little earlier than we wanted to. We were planning on going around to Los Barriles and then to Los Muertos, but I guess we're just going to cut that part of the trip short and we're going to visit those places in the springtime. So right now, we are headed for new lands to us. We're going to cross the Sea of Cortez to mainland Mexico. We're hoping to make landfall in Mazatlán in roughly 48 hours, plus or minus a day.
And that plus or minus a day is because we're not planning on using the engine at all. Luckily, Ambrosia can sail in just a puff of wind, albeit slowly. This is the first time since we've left Newport Beach that we haven't had the influence of ocean swell, so without constant waves slowing us down, we can sail in the lightest of air with just our main and jib. We learned our lesson with the screaming blue northers and aren't taking any chances while crossing the sea. We've seen too many boats go missing here, so when this calm window appeared, we decided to weigh anchor and point east. If the forecast shows the entire Sea of Cortez is breezy with 10 knots, beware. It's likely underestimated and will overdevelop with wind speeds reaching 30 knots. If the forecast calls for high teens or even 20s, then you can likely expect high 40s. No joke. The predictions near the southern tip of Baja are also often inaccurate because wind can bend around Cabo Falso and shoot up into the Sea of Cortez. Our forecast was for no wind on the first day, with the occasional breeze of 10 to 12 knots coming from the north on day 2. But on the second day, we were close-hauled against a steady southerly breeze, the complete opposite of what was predicted. But the crossing was not bad. In fact, it was very pleasant. We saw so many stars, both in the sky and reflected in the calm sea at night. We had the occasional thunderstorm and an abundance of sea life in every direction we looked. Plus, the increase in humidity as we approached mainland Mexico made for incredible sunsets and sunrises.
All right, we're halfway across the Sea of Cortez, and the most peculiar thing is happening. There's these little baby tuna, I think they're yellowfin, and they're jumping out of the water, eating these little jellies. And they're just the cutest things ever. There's one. And you can see their full little rigid bodies. I don't know, but look, there a whole bunch of them are doing it right there. This is cool, right in the middle of the Sea of Cortez. There's a lot of life here, isn't there?
Oh yeah.
Gosh, man, they're far from... They are very far away from anything.
Yeah.
So it looks like we're gonna get some weather up ahead. Potentially some squalls. We saw lightning last night, kind of in this vicinity. And it looks like it's overdeveloping again. So we've gone ahead and preemptively reefed the main. We're on our second reef because we get overpowered quite easily. And you know, the jib, it's easy. We just furl it up if we get big wind. But yeah, you know, we already got soap out in case we actually do get a deluge. We'll have a free shower. And there's some really salty clothing there that won't dry out. So hopefully that'll get a freshwater rinse.
The arrival in Mazatlán was amazing thanks to one of the best sunsets I have ever seen. The approach into port is guided by the world's second tallest lighthouse, with the first being in Gibraltar. There are many locations to drop the hook in Mazatlán, and most cruisers choose to enter the breakwater and share the port with cruise ships and other traffic. This is very convenient because it gives you direct access to downtown Mazatlán, but is definitely a cramped anchorage. We chose to anchor at Stone Island, which is outside of the breakwater to the south. Although this anchorage is less than a nautical mile in a straight line, it's a 1.5 hour drive to Mazatlán by land, so it has a much more laid-back vibe. Aside from a small collection of restaurants, the beach has endless coconut plantations and a mangrove that separates it from the hustle and bustle of Mazatlán. Although the vegetation wasn't tropical, it sure felt that way after having sailed down the Baja Peninsula. It's incredible how different the climate of Cabo San Lucas and Mazatlán are. Even though they are just 200 nautical miles apart, it's significantly greener and more humid here. Despite the Stone Island anchorage being disconnected from downtown, Getting to Mazatlán couldn't be easier thanks to a highly organized water taxi service. You just walk down the jetty to the water taxi dock and pay 40 pesos per person round trip.
So this is where we come to beach our kayak, and this is just a restaurant called La Caleta, and they're very friendly towards cruisers. They let us drop off trash, they let us use their freshwater rinse showers, and they provide us with any kind of like basic supplies that we need, like fresh drinking water, or of course they have a restaurant and beers, so we're very thankful for that. And it's kind of, you know, not necessarily transactional, but they help the cruisers out, and in return we give them our preference when it's time to go out and have dinner or something like that. So
On the other side, you're just a quick walk to the lighthouse where admission is free to walk to the top. And once you're there, you get a great view of the islands to the north and the entire city of Mazatlán.
Porque soy militar, y la patria, me llama, no importa, que surja, la guerra, ay, señor instructor, porque cuando corro no siento dolor,
alright, so I think this is really cool. This is the electrical meter for the antenna and the lighthouse, and the digital display is cycling through all the data. Here's like kind of like all of the info, and then the first one is total kilowatt hours 42,390. Max power 4.1 kilowatts. This one's interesting. Total number of resets 19. So the power has gone out 19 times, and that explains why all those military guys were hauling up lead acid batteries for when this thing goes down. Pretty cool.
Old Mazatlán is just a 2-mile walk from the lighthouse and is unlike any other part of the city. The architecture is French with beautiful colors, narrow streets, and windowsills beaming with plants. We visited this part of town many times just to walk around and sit on different benches, enjoying the atmosphere. The main market downtown had the best produce, although it definitely cost more than nearby grocers. On our walk back to Stone Island, we stopped by the Malecón and found a seawater pool that is filled and drained by the tides. And nearby, a bronze statue of Jacques Cousteau. Both La Paz and Mazatlán pay homage to the French oceanographer, with statues thanking his adamant support for preserving the Gulf of California. The last stop on our tour of Old Mazatlán was this incredible rooftop pool. Some fellow sailors recommended it to us, and we were blown away by the incredible views. The bar just below the pool serves a variety of cocktails, with simpler ones priced at just 60 pesos each. Sam and I took advantage of this little gem for a few hours and then made our way back to Ambrosia. Well, that's it for episode 21. Be sure to catch the next one where we sail to an offshore island considered by many to be the Galapagos of Mexico.